And welcome in, everyone, to another edition of the Countdown to Kickoff show.
Baby.
As we come to you from Screwballs across the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel, along with Rob Ellis and the coach, Henry Racich. I'm Joe Kraus. Great to be here on a Thursday night, and we get to talk about the Eagles and the Giants on Sunday, and I guess you can say this game may be a classic NFC matchup just because of the logistics of where the Eagles are right now in 2022, and surprisingly, where the New York Football Giants are.
Yeah, and it's an NFC East game. I mean, think about the last time the Eagles played an NFC East game. It didn't exactly go as planned, right? Mm-hmm. So this is one of those where it is like cliched, but I don't care what the point spread is. I don't care what the records are for the teams. When you're in a situation like this, against a team like this, you better bring your A game if you're the Eagles, because I'm telling you right now, not only are they going to be gunning for you because you're 11-1, they'll be gunning for you because they are still, they're the 7th seed. They are in the playoffs right now. And
which
the Giants
is amazing.
Yeah, and they've struggled of late, so they need this game bad.
Yeah, and of course, as you know, our bus trip from Screwballs goes up to New York on Sunday, and in conversation with some people at the Giants front office, they have sold more single game tickets for this game on Sunday than in their history.
That's crazy. In their entire history.
Why? For this one game.
Oh,
why?
wow.
Why?
Now that must mean that every available standing room only seat is gone.
Okay, all right.
Every seat in the suites are gone.
Oh boy. It's going to be interesting.
Every seat in the bathroom's gone.
It's going to be interesting.
It really, really is. I mean, an amazing statement going into it. You know that the Eagle Nation is going to be there.
Yep.
We'll have a great group from here that will be there.
Henry chaperoning?
The coach is chaperoning.
Hey, we're calling him a chaperone.
We made it back. Hey, we made it back last year. Rob, we made it back from D.C. last year.
Okay.
No casualties. No milk carton people.
No judgment here. I'm just saying.
I needed to put Ted in charge just to manage
now I feel
Henry.
better. Now I feel better.
Ted's to manage me.
Okay.
I got to handle everybody else.
So the chaperone has a chaperone.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's needed. Because I, of course, will not be here on Sunday.
You'll be a little busy.
I'll be at Ocean getting ready for the JAKIB Sports pregame show on Sunday, and it will be a great day.
Yes.
Now, the weather...
Rainy day.
Is not expected to be good. As a matter of fact, the weather for the game is expected to be horrible.
Good. Run the ball all day.
That's it.
Run.
Talk about that. How's that going to factor in?
I think it really sort of feeds into both teams. I mean, what do the Giants do best? They run Saquon Barkley. Yeah. And Daniel Jones runs, too. I mean, he's a guy who's very mobile. He's hurt the Eagles before with his legs.
The Giants are a watered-down version of the Eagles.
Much watered down. Right. But yeah, this is the beauty of the Eagles. It doesn't matter what the conditions are. They can play. If it's a bright, sunny day, they'll kill you in the air. If it's an awful day like it's supposed to be Sunday, they'll kill you on the ground. So that's the great thing about the way the Eagles play this thing. They were going to try to run against them anyway, Joe. So that this doesn't really change or alter anything you want to do. Just about ball security, but if you look at it, they're not a team that's put it on the carpet this year. Miles Sanders doesn't have a fumble, knock on wood. You know, Jalen Hurts doesn't give it up all that much. He had a couple strip sacks, but not. This is a team that doesn't fumble much. So I don't think it hurts the Eagles one bit, in fact. And I don't think it changes what the Giants wanted to do because, let's face it, they don't have a lot of weapons on the outside. It's Saquon or bust for them.
Absolutely. And in between weeks, we were talking last week about what stops this team. I figured out the only thing I think that could stop this.
The Achilles heel? What is it?
An injury bug.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, what? They have the next man up mentality, the shark tooth thing. But today I was thinking, man, what could really derail this? And if they lose one, they lose number one, then that's the problem.
So two things on the injury front, right? One,
they're pretty healthy. I mean, you look around the league, everybody's busted.
Way worse. They haven't lost a major piece again for the year. All these guys are starting to come back. You get Jordan Davis back this past game. You're going to get Avonte Maddox back. You're going to get Goddard back. So they're getting people back. Yep. The other thing that hasn't happened to them is they haven't gotten crushed at one position. Remember years ago, it was like, oh my God, all the running backs are out, or all the defensive backs are out. Right. They haven't gotten hammered at that one spot which a lot of other teams have had to deal with. And that is also key. And look, there's nothing you can do. This is just good fortune, and you hope it keeps up.
I mean, this team across the board, if a starter goes down at pretty much any position, like Lane Johnson, we don't have a guy who's going to step and fill that.
Nope.
But you're talking about Lane, you're talking about Hurts, you're talking about Brown on the outside. But
Slay or Bradbury, they
other
would be
than
big.
I mean, but even their other replacements are stepping up and playing.
Yeah.
So you're not getting gashed with an injury at all this year. There hasn't been. Well, Jordan Davis is when we really realized.
That hurt. They felt that a little.
That guy makes, and they made a judge. They bring a couple big bodies in, but it hasn't been devastating in any way. A lot of teams go down. Someone goes down. It's devastating. Look at Watt out in Pittsburgh.
Right, no doubt. And the other part of that is, Joe, that the few injuries they've had, for the most part, they have really good depth, and they've been able to just sustain and survive it and get by long enough.
Even getting tight end play last week against the Titans.
Yeah, Stoll made a play as a tight end, and he made a big play on special teams. That tackle that he and Christian Ellis made early sort of set the tone special teams-wise. That hit, really, I mean, first time we saw it all year.
I mean, I couldn't figure out. I mean, the Titans haven't looked Titan-esque lately. So I'm watching the game like, what is wrong with them? What is going on? I mean, maybe the Eagles are that good. That's what's wrong with them. But I just thought that they didn't come in with the punch we all thought they were going to.
Well, coming up in our second segment, our NFL insider John McMullen will join us for a few moments, and it'll be interesting to have some dialogue with John. But the one thing that he has said consistently, Rob, and you've been on the show with him on Birds 365. He's been on Sports Take with you, Barrett, and D. Gunn. The one thing that he has said about this year's team is that they adapt to the game that's being played.
Yeah.
You know, if they need to run, they're going to run the football. If they need to throw it, they're going to throw the football. And that's been something that the Eagles have been able to do every single game this year.
They're a chameleon, Joe.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
It's a good word.
Honest to God, it doesn't matter what the situation is. They adapt to it. Even if you went into the game thinking, all right, we're going to be able to do this, maybe the other team takes it away. They're very easy. It's very easy for them to just slide into another persona and do what they have to do. I'll tell you, Coach, the thing that impressed me most about last week, we went in with three major questions. One, special teams, which has been an issue all year, right? Two, run defense, especially against that team and that running back, right? And three, how's the pass offense going to look? How's the offensive line? How's the passing game going to go? Every of those categories, all three of them, they just destroyed it. I mean, they crushed it. And, you know, I know people are worried about peaking and all that. I still feel like they're getting better. I don't feel like they're peaking or plateauing. I feel like they're still going up.
Well, they made it. One big improvement last week was their play on special teams. So that was a change. That was an adjustment. And to your point, the team's getting better with each week as we get forward.
Well, I mean, this Eagles team, to me, when I watch, remember the Terminator movie when they got rid of Arnold? They got the guy that you would punch him and he would just be like silver and water and just be like rubber and snap back. This is this team. It's like the Eagles, they pour water over a defense and they find the holes and they just eat it from inside out. They can do anything. This team they're more than, I'm not going to say they're great all around. They're just super proficient at every single phase. The screen game, the power game, the pass game, the rollout game. They do it all at a high level. And that's, how do you scheme this team? As a defensive coordinator, one team figured it out.
Yeah.
So maybe they had a bad day against
I was going to say, and I think part of that was self-inflicted wounds.
Right.
You know, they hurt themselves in that game. You need talent to be able to do that, but you also have to have good coaching too, and the willingness to not be stubborn, to change up what you thought was going to work, and or recognize what's happening in game and make adjustments. And that's one of the strengths we've really seen of this coaching staff too. Steichen, as much as people want to always hammer him, Jonathan Gannon, and for once Michael Clay made some adjustments, and it really worked.
Yeah, I wonder with each passing game. Is Sean Steichen actually, is he calling every play now? Is he running the offense from the sideline, or is Sirianni still involved in what play goes out to Jalen?
I think he's involved, Joe, but I think this is Steichen's show. Like, he has veto power, obviously, does Nick, but I think he's letting him call the plays. I do. I don't think he's overlording him or anything like that. I think this is This is mostly Steichen.
Yeah, I think when I'm watching this game, I go, whoever's calling these plays.
Not Sean Steichen. I said Shane Steichen. Yeah.
Their timing for the knockout punch is impeccable.
Yeah.
You know, they pound you, screen you, and as soon as you eke up, boom, they're over top. I mean, the rhythm of the offense when they're on is scary, brilliant to watch.
Yeah, it is. And they really play to the quarterback's strengths. I mean, they're doing what he does best, whether it's a design run or a throw that he's comfortable with. And let's face it,
he took some shots last week.
He was on last week.
I thought he ran a little bit too much in the between the tackles. A couple times he got stuck a couple times.
I thought, a couple of the throws, like the obvious one was the second one to A.J. Brown. But I thought the one that they just missed on down the sideline where he didn't quite get the 1 foot in was an unbelievable throw.
Right.
I mean, not only does he just drop it over the defensive back, he kind of drops it a little bit towards the sideline where it's not going to be intercepted. And he was out of bounds. It was a legitimate call. But that throw right there, I was like, damn, he's on today. I mean, the passing game was on.
Henry, last thought before we go to the break.
I just want to know when they're going to start calling this guy elite.
Yeah.
Because he's playing elite. He's running elite. He's leading elite. He's an example
Well, the
elite.
NFL's calling him elite. They gave him the MVP back-to-back weeks now, so the NFL is looking at Jalen Hurts, and they're saying, man, this guy's legit.
Amen.
Well, I'm not seeing anything from any other NFL team that I haven't seen him do or go past as far as athleticism, leadership. You know, we got to see Mahomes play the other night, head-to-head with Burrows, and I look at those two guys, and I'm like, Jalen can do all that.
Yeah, if he's not in your 1-2 conversation with Mahomes, then you're either not watching him, not paying attention, or you got an agenda.
Listen, I know we got to get to the break, but
tired of
that
Mahomes.
is an amazing statement, especially if you take that statement and you attach it to just a season ago where Jalen was being criticized to the point, and John McMullen's coming up. I think he's on the Jalen Hurts apology tour.
Listen, a lot of people need to be on that tour.
That's right.
Because, first of all, the whole offense wasn't opened up to him. Second of all, he didn't have all the weapons. Everyone's looking at him. When you're the best athlete, he might have been the best entire athlete on the offense last year.
Yeah.
You're bringing you bring a speedster in, a guy that nobody could defend a slant against A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
His body is so big. I mean, you bring him tools where you're not just focused on him, then they can open a playbook up and he can shine a little bit. I mean, he's been an athlete, a leader everywhere he went. Why? People gave up on that guy last year.
Yeah, and
I want people all day on Facebook that I saved them from last year.
Yeah.
I'm giving it to him.
Well, no, listen, and I know you've been on the Hertz wagon here for since last year. But the other thing I don't think people take.
He's driving the wagon right now, Henry.
I love it. I love being right.
He was 23 last year. We don't give people time anymore to develop and get better, especially somebody with a work ethic like that guy has.
Yeah.
And not enough people took that into account, that he was going to do everything in his power to get better.
He's playing with a chip, man.
Yeah, and the thing you look at, like completion percentage is way up. He's a way better passer than he was. He's always had the legs and all the other intangibles, but he's a way better passer now. He's got the complete game.
Really good stuff here on the Countdown to Kickoff show as we come to you from Screwballs. We thank everybody for, of course, coming out tonight. It's going to be a good, fun night here tonight. We'll talk with NFL insider John McMullen on the other side. Back in a moment.
I regard, defamation cases as maybe the most important or the most profound cases there are, because we only get one reputation. And you don't get a second chance once it's destroyed. To have your reputation destroyed is really to ruin everything about you. It ruins you, it ruins your family's view of you, it ruins your neighbor's view of you. You go to a party, you don't know who's looking at you sideways because they heard, you're a this or you're a that. It is an extraordinarily difficult thing to live with. And for that reason, when we represent defamation clients, it really is the most profound type case we could be handling.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing, the second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs, and then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
And back here live on the Countdown to Kickoff show from our favorite spot, packed house tonight.
Awesome
at
crowd.
Screwballs,
Awesome crowd.
as it is our
baby.
preparation for the bus trip to New York on Sunday.
Chaperone.
All right, so it should
Wearing all
be
my
pretty good. We got a
Steelers
lot
stuff,
of people in the building tonight. Some have tickets for the bus.
Some don't.
Some do not.
They'll figure it out.
All right,
Last night's
so we'll
the last
see.
night to get them.
By the way, I'm looking for our roll of tickets, Henry. The roll of tickets.
Nick took them with my jacket.
Okay, you have it.
Oh,
Do we have
everybody's pointing fingers.
Okay, do we
Nobody
have it?
knows.
When in doubt, blame Nick.
That's
The
it.
maniac.
Do we have the roll of tickets? They were left here.
Nick had them last time I
All
looked.
right, Nick's
Nick's
got
on
to
the
go
case.
find the
He's
tickets.
on the case.
All right, let's not make
All right.
John McMullen wait for
Poor
us while we
John,
look for
poor John.
tickets. Let's get in NFL insider
Please.
John McMullen, also co-host of Birds 365, also on location covering the Birds, who does a really bang-up job. I think he's the best in the city,
Yep.
and he joins us now on the Countdown to Kickoff show. Johnny Mac, welcome in here, brother, on a Thursday night.
Hey guys, you got the big bus trip going up to MetLife Stadium. I might have to get in on it.
John, I'll tell you this. In my conversation with the staff for the New York Giants in preparation for the tickets and working through the logistics with the bus and everything else, they have sold more tickets for this game than any other game in the history of MetLife. Their words, not mine. This one single game on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how many Eagles fans get in because, in recent seasons they've been taking over MetLife like they take over a lot of teams. But the Giants are more competitive this year, so it's going to be interesting to see how much the crowd is weighted towards the Giants. I got a feeling there's going to be a bunch of Eagles fans in there.
I think that's a safe bet. I would agree with that. John, let me ask you. Hurts had a really rough game there last year, if you remember. And I know
Worst
it's a
game starter.
Yeah, worst game he's probably ever played in his life, right? Dating back to Pee Wee ball. But is he the type that thinks about that stores that uses that as a chip, or is he so laser focused, whatever the next game is, it doesn't matter that was a bad game against the Giants last year?
Yeah, I asked him about that specifically this week, and he said, he talked about teachable moments, and one thing he says is, they don't necessarily have to come from bad games, they can come from good games as well. And then he said he's emotionless. He used that term, emotionless. I will say this. He's won 14 of his 15 starts since that game. So he has turned the corner since what was his worst professional start, turned into an MVP candidate, obviously. I do think, it's human nature. He wants to exercise some of the demons of MetLife Stadium because not only did he play that poorly, that's also where he hurt his ankle, which, curtailed his effectiveness down the stretch of last season and to the point had to have surgery after the playoff loss. So that all happened at MetLife Stadium, and I think he wants to leave with a better taste in his mouth. And I think he will. I mean, he's playing at an MVP level. And by the way, as bad as he was in that game, Rob, he still had the Eagles in a position to win if Jalen Reagor can come down with a couple of attempts. So that's always been sort of a a point to Jalen Hurts' game. He might play poorly for a quarter, a half, even in that case, the majority of the game, and he's always coming. He's still coming, and he's still putting incredible pressure on the opposing defense.
Johnny Mac, is it getting harder with each game to make a case for the opponent to give the Eagles a tough football game?
Yeah, I mean, last week, I'm embarrassed by it. It's the first time all year I didn't pick the Eagles to win the game, and they just destroyed Tennessee. I mean, that was arguably the most complete game of the year. They just have so much more talent than the Giants. It's hard to imagine a path to victory. And it would probably have to be very similar to their one loss against Washington, where it was more the Eagles beating themselves. I think that's the only way they're going to lose to the Giants is turning the football, not converting on third downs offensively. Not stopping third down situational football defensively, losing the turnover battle, which they typically don't do, but they did in that game. So a bunch of things would have to go wrong for them to lose to the Giants because the talent differential is pretty significant.
NFL insider John McMullen joining us here on the Countdown to Kickoff show. Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, John, in looking at the Giants, and we all know they started off so well, it's been a real struggle of late. Do you get a sense that the injuries, the lack of talent, maybe everything being on Saquon Barkley's shoulders is finally catching up to them, or is there another explanation for their struggles of late?
No, I mean, they started 6-1. Look, I think we all looked at the Giants and Chicago as the two teams in the NFC that kind of looked like they were in full rebuilding mode, and they didn't necessarily think that they were ready to contend. So I give Brian Daboll, Mike Kafka, Wink Martindale a lot of credit. I think the Giants have finally gotten it right with the coaching staff after years of Ben McAdoo and Pat Shurmur and Steve Spagnuolo and Joe Judge. I think they finally got it right with the coaching staff, and they're going to be an issue down the road. But they got to rebuild the roster first, and they started that this year. They had 2 top 10 picks, and Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal. And they're going to continue to add to this nucleus, but right now they just don't have enough bullets. And as you mentioned, since that 6-1 start, Rob, they've won 1 game since October 23rd. So, yeah, I think part of it is attrition. And when you have attrition, and the Giants have had a lot of injuries this season, and you don't have a ton of talent, obviously the depth is not there, and you're going to take some hits.
I know there's conversation about really the one offensive weapon that the Giants do have, Saquon Barkley, but we had that same conversation last week about the King, Derrick Henry, and that Eagle defense shut the King down. Do you expect the same result with Saquon?
You can never expect that kind of result. The Eagles were so dominant against Tennessee, and they didn't let Derrick Henry get started at all. As long as run was 6 yards in the entire game. So that part's tough to duplicate, but I do expect him to have a good game defensively. This is the number 2 defense in the NFL for people who don't realize it. They're number 1 in passing defense. They're number 1 in turnovers, generating turnovers. They're number 2 in sacks. They do everything well. But the one thing about their scheme and about what they want to do when it comes to the running game, they want to stop it. They want to stop it with light boxes. In other words, they're not going to commit an extra defender to stop Saquon Barkley. He might get a run here. He might get a run there. but they believe that the quickest way to get beat in this league is for the ball to go over your head. So they're trying to stop explosive plays in the passing game. James Bradbury's having the year he's having. Darius Slay's having the year he's having. And the Giants' best receiver is Darius Slayton. That is a mismatch. So people can wring their hands about Saquon Barkley, but the biggest mismatch on Sunday will be the Giants' passing game against the Eagles' defense.
Yeah, John, this would appear on the other side like the Eagles will go at them with the running game again. I know we were talking a little bit earlier about the weather, but I think that was going to be the case anyway. Tell us a little bit about this Giants defense. They're also very banged up going into the game as well.
Yeah, they got some injuries in the secondary. And look, Wink Martindale is the coordinator Eagles fans, a lot of Eagles fans love, because he's the guy who's going to blitz off the bus. But a lot of that is because you can't generate pressure with four.
Yep.
So the Eagles are going to have an opportunity to make some big plays down the field with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. We know how good Jalen Hurts has been with the deep ball. We'll see how healthy Quez Watkins is as a speed receiver. But they're going to have some opportunities. And the Giants, again, they're in that, Kayvon Thibodeau's a player who looks like he's going to be a really good edge rusher in this league. But, he's going through some of those rookie startup talks. Xavier McKinney's been injured. Julian Love's having a career year. Torrey Jackson's been injured. So, yeah, they have some issues from an injury standpoint. Nobody likes the turf up there in MetLife Stadium, but I was talking to Pat Leonard, who covers the Giants from the Daily News, and he mentioned, hey, the Jets don't have a ton of injuries, so something's going on. The Giants are trying to figure out what the Eagles seem to have figured out, whether it's managing players, resting players, getting them through the season. They're trying to figure out because they've taken a ton of injury hits.
Good stuff from John McMullen. You got something, Rob?
I was going to hit, John, just the special teams. We saw such an improvement. Was that just a matter of players stepping up? Or was it being proactive, bringing up a Christian Ellis, that kind of thing? How big was the ratio between adjustments versus guys finally just stepping up and making plays?
Yeah, they didn't make many adjustments other than Christian Ellis, but he played really well. So that's one of those things where you kind of cross your fingers. I imagine he's going to be elevated again from the practice squad. Maybe he turns out to be we always talk about the Chris Marigot type players, the Brian Brayman. You probably don't want him playing defense, but if he's a really good special teams player, that could really help the Eagles. Consistency is what they got to do, but a bunch of guys stepped up. Now, Sean Bradley hasn't practiced this week. He's one of the best special teams players, so they could be without him. That could be an issue. Britton Covey getting going, though, that had more to do with the Titans punter, who has this incredibly strong leg, but he outpicked Covey. So for the first time this year, the Eagles just had a ton of space. Just the kid's kicking at 60 yards and nobody can cover his kick. He's averaging, I think, 53 yards a punt, which is unheard of. But, sometimes it's better to kick it shorter and higher, and you do a better job. So I'm not sure if that's going to continue the Eagles' success on special teams, but they're so well-rounded everywhere else. As long as they're mediocre on special teams, that's all you should be looking for.
NFL insider John McMullen joining us here on the Countdown to Kickoff show. One quick last thought, John, and then I'll let you go. Appreciate you joining us here. Have you ever seen anything like it? And the reason I ask that question, it almost appears to be that every week the conversation about how good this football team is raises a notch. It's another notch. It's a win. It's another notch. It's another great conversation about a football team. And it's almost, I don't know how many of those you have when you cover, the ebb and flow of a team during a full season.
Now, I always say this season has been very boring for me because this team is so good. And there's nothing to criticize for the most part. You can nitpick about the special teams. The tackling at times has been an issue earlier in the season, especially. But they've been so good, and they can beat you in so many different ways. They have the number 3 offense. They have the number 2 defense. Think about that. I mean, they're good at everything. And I was talking to Shane Steichen this week, and even he doesn't know. He says, ask me in the first quarter,
right?
How we're going to go about this, because he really does. As a play caller, he just looks at what the opposing defense is doing, and if they're trying to take away, whether it's Miles Sanders, Jalen Hurts in the RPO game, and they're trying to really suffocate that, they just throw the ball down the field to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. And remember, they don't even have Dallas Goedert right now. So when he gets back, it even gets better. If they stop the passing game, if they want to bracket A.J. Brown, they just run the ball down people's throats. I've asked a bunch of defensive coordinators, what do you do to stop this team? What do you game plan for? And, their answer inevitably is pick your poison.
Yeah.
But you can try to do something, but they're just going to go to something else. And it's been that way. And by the way, we always talk about the offense, that Jalen Hurts should be the MVP of this league. The defense is better than the offense.
Amazing. It's amazing to listen to.
Dable was asked today, what impresses you most about the Eagles, and he said everything. Like, he wasn't even, he's like, I don't even know where to start. I mean, that's the opposing coach. And he wasn't doing the usual, hey, they're the greatest. He was like, I don't know. You tell me, because everything's good.
I mean, I guarantee you right now.
They stopped Derrick Henry with light boxes. They have 42 sacks with 4-man rushes for the most part. They lead the league in interceptions. They lead the league in turnover ratio. I was with the Super Bowl team from day one to the Super Bowl in Minneapolis. I've been with this team from day one, and we'll see how far they go, because the stars have to align to win the Super Bowl. But what I will say, what I have been saying, this team's better than the Super Bowl team, and it's not even particularly close.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Mac, let's start looking at the plane reservations for Glendale, because the prices are going up on those tickets. Great stuff from John McMullen. We thank you very much, John. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, John.
All right, thanks, guys.
Good stuff from John McMullen joining us here. We'll take a commercial break. Back at Screwballs on the Countdown to Kickoff show in a moment.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Celebrating the life of your loved one is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givnish. When the matriarch of the Dalloway family died suddenly at 82 years old, Life Celebrations by Givnish stepped in.
They will make this the easiest thing that I know it's not easy, but they will make this as easy as possible.
Life Celebrations by Givnish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
I just know that my dad, who is in charge of everything, was not in charge of anything at that point when my mom passed. And again, just another shout out to this place for for making it easy.
Turning tragedy into a celebration of life, no matter how hard, is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givnish. Life Celebrations by Givnish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
Number 1, Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown is rolling back prices for a December to remember. For a limited time, you can own, not lease, brand new 2023 Jeep Wranglers for only $30,995 or $339 per month. New Rams starting at only $30,995 or new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs $189 per month. Zero down can deliver. Get the price you want, the selection you need, and the VIP treatment you deserve. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Big Finish Sales Event.
And we're back here on the Countdown to Kickoff show as we broadcast from Screwballs.
Great crowd.
What a great spot. Glad to be here every Thursday night. And, you know, we'll unpack a little bit what NFL insider John McMullen had to say in the last segment. Pretty good stuff, but let's first start with his thought on he covered the Super Bowl team start to finish, and now covering again this team start to finish. And I know it's kind of an odd question, Rob, but and Coach, but this team just gets better and better with each week. Yeah. And it's so hard to find something to nitpick about, which I don't know how normal that is.
No, Henry, go ahead.
What's abnormal about this team is that Super Bowl team had some luck. Rodgers went down. The moon and stars lined up for that Super Bowl.
That team was opportunistic. They made big plays when they had to make it and came up big in big spots. But this team is just, they're not dismantling teams every week, but they're handling teams every single week.
Rob, I mean, I haven't seen one trick play from this offense.
Yeah.
Like, what happens when they start throwing the other stuff that they're working on that we haven't even seen yet? They're beating you with the fundamentals, the fundamental 15. They have their 5 best running plays, their 5 best passing plays. I mean, this team is so tough. You can't scout them. There's no apparent weaknesses in the offense. The defense doesn't have any glaring weaknesses. I mean, we thought they couldn't stop the run, and then they shut down Henry.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like you said, they are getting, and so they're going to pick on the special teams.
Yeah.
There's only one little chink.
Right.
And teams are going to scheme against that.
Well, when you're playing the way they're playing, there's 2 things that hold you up. One is injuries, we already talked about. The other thing is you get complacent. I don't see that here.
No.
I don't see the guys thinking they're too big for their britches and all that stuff. There's too much leadership here for that element to creep in, because that will kill any good team. You overlook an opponent, or you start thinking you're better than you are. I really don't think that's the personality. Here's the thing. You have good leadership with the coach who hasn't won a championship. You have good leadership from a quarterback who hasn't won a championship. You have coordinators who haven't won championships as coordinators. To go with a lot of players who are new to this, who haven't won either, who are hungry. Then you have the guys like Kelsey and Fletcher Cox and Lane Johnson who have lived it, who are keeping these guys honest. So you have a really good mix here with this group.
Well, what I think for Sirianni, when I look at the Eagles as a coach, because as a head coach like Sirianni, you know, a head coach of a team, you got to worry about all the connecting dots, all the little beacons on this team. So offensively, Hurts under center, he's the beacon. Like, he's the guy who has a chip on his shoulder. He heard all the noise last year. On off season, he worked his butt off. He got better. He fixed his mechanics. He hit that deep out a little with more zip this year. Then you have, and you have rookies on the team that goes, oh, every season's going to be like this. No, then you have a veteran like Kelsey, who's been down, who went the whole way. As a veteran, his years are numbered. So he's fired up and appreciated. You have Fletcher Cox, same situation. Then you have Sirianni, the new coach, who last year he heard all his noise, but he kept planting those roots with the flower thing and all these weird things that, to me, I was like, this guy's...
The record's insane since that, by the way.
Nowhere in the process, with the exception of the loss, I guess, they beat themselves. Washington, nowhere in that process has there been a bump in the road. all those different variables, and they're all firing on the same cylinder.
It's hard to do.
They don't listen to the noise. And here's one thing I have not seen one time in any play, in any game this year, was a receiver coming off the field, I need the ball.
Yep.
A quarterback yelling at somebody. Like, they don't do that. Like this.
Jalen's not throwing tablets on the sideline.
No, none of that's happening. Like, that's a sign of frustration. When you see that, that's a cancerous dot on a team. You don't see any of me ball with this Eagles team. It's us. And the offense, what they constructed is amazing in 2 seasons.
Yeah.
What took this team.
The turnaround is amazing.
There's no
that's
selfish ball.
and that's my point. How do you get there this quick? Like, how do you get there that fast where every component, every position, every coach, every player is all on the same page?
Starts at the top.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, I had my doubts about Sirianni because last year he would try to throw the ball too much when he didn't have a run. I mean, the weapons to do it. And like, he's finally just settling in. He owns it all. I think from the most elite athlete on this team down to the third string guard are all on the same page, and they all have the same emotion. They all have the same goal. They're in Philadelphia. They blocked the noise out. They lost to the Commanders, and they heard all this. See, he's not this, he's that. They just block it out, man. This is a dangerous team. They don't need luck because they're super skilled. And when you get 52 guys on the same page, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
With egos and pro players, that's hard to do. There's no egos here.
They hit the exacta with good players and good guys. And that's hard to do because there's divas at this level. These guys are the best in the world at what they do. There's a lot of ego involved. And
even Sue coming in.
He loves being. He's like, listen,
loves being in Philadelphia.
The one thing you also hear, and this is not like locker room BS, you hear it from the reporters and guys who actually get, inside information. These guys like each other. Even in 04, if you go back to 04, that team was phenomenal too. But you started to see some of the cracks with T.O., yelling at Donovan, get me the ball in that Pittsburgh game that they lost. You remember that game. You started to see some things there. That's not this team. I mean, like A.J. Brown I wanted to come in and win, and he did get paid, but he wanted to come in and win, and he's playing with his buddy. And you have enough other guys that are on one-year deals that want to get, they know that they may not be back here next year. Like Fletcher Cox, it's probably the end of the line for Fletcher Cox. Could be the end of the line for Javon Hargrave.
And I think Fletcher has all of a sudden energized.
If they win the Super Bowl, he'll be back. He'll take a pay cut.
But
this is crazy for me to say.
Yeah.
I have a hard time digesting this. But the way this team is synced together, the weapons they have, the youth that they have, the fire from the head coach, the chip on Ertz's shoulder, this could be the beginning of a dynasty of sorts in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Like, people don't talk about that. They are so much better positionally than any team that they play.
Yeah.
I think Hurts is having an elite season. You got him, like Mahomes, I'm watching Mahomes going, all right, he's impressive. But when you watch Hurts, I'm like, damn, he just ran over 2 linebackers to get into the end zone. Who's done that at the quarterback position?
I'll tell you the other thing. You look at the connections last week with Jalen, with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Not one of those guys is over 24 or 25. Not one of them's over 25 years old. So you have a nice nucleus with that group. The other thing is, as of right now, they have the 5th overall pick from the Saints. In that fleecing that they made. That's how you keep sustaining this thing. You keep bringing in, you have a pick that high. And I looked at New Orleans' schedule. They could be picking Eagles could have like the number 2 or number 3 overall pick next year.
You know what's really
Very
cool?
possible.
Really cool
It's
about
crazy.
this team?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What's really cool about this team is that every week there's a different game superstar.
Yeah.
And they all celebrate it. Brown has a big day. You see Smith jumping on him. Smith has a great. This team's dangerous, man.
Yeah, they celebrate each other. They do.
And that's something you don't see in pro sports a lot.
Yep.
But the champions do it.
Yep.
Pretty crazy stuff. Let's try and spend the last few minutes of the countdown to kickoff show here live from Screwballs on. Let's bring it all back full circle on the game on Sunday. Is there, and I'll start with the coach this time.
Right.
Is there a game plan that can be devised
No, not in a week.
to beat this football team?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm going to go with what Rob said, and I keep hearing this. This team is the only team that could beat this team right now. Mistakes, fumbles, or bad luck. I mean, right now, for me, the only thing that beats the Eagles right now is bad luck and an
Something
injury.
fluky-ish.
A bad injury, injury bug, and some just bad luck. Because, some of the games come down to luck.
Yeah, sometimes
Crazy
you get a
things
tip
happen.
pass.
Balls take crazy amounts.
Guy slips.
But they are so solid.
Yeah.
And it's a nightmare. As a defensive coordinator, you got the Eagles coming up. You're like, all right, any weakness I have, and give this to Steichen. Any weakness on that defense, he annihilates it.
Yeah.
He makes them
does.
pay.
He does.
You got a weakness going in there, and then as a defensive coordinator, you know my defensive end is weak. He can't contain. And you know the Eagles are going to come at it, so you give that guy help. And guess what? Then they go to that other. The offensive scheme. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
The ability for the knockout punch on this offensive play calling is uncanny.
Yeah, I think what you're going to get with Martindale is, as John McMullen said a little bit earlier, he is super aggressive. Like, he's got a lot of Jim Johnson and Buddy Ryan, Bud Carson, just balls to the wall kind of guy. That's okay. I mean, there are ways to exploit that if they're sending extra people. It means you're going to get those killer receivers singled up a lot of times.
Right.
And if Jalen reads it, and there's a hot read, or you can beat it with a screen game, with a slant, with a delay, with a draw. There's a lot of ways to take advantage of that, where you can kill them with it. Not the Eagles' whole thing is, hey, there might be 1,000 cuts, but we're not going to die by that. You can kill these guys if they're really going to be uber aggressive. So
They don't give up big plays.
no, the Eagles don't. No,
The
and that's
defense,
one
crazy.
of Gannon's biggest thing. He trusts his front, and he doesn't give up big plays. And I know it's not as pretty as getting the sack all the time. But by the way, they're starting to rack up the sack numbers too. I mean, that's the other thing that's starting to come. Their front's winning. And the other thing is, it's a little bit of a myth that they don't blitz. They're 16th in blitz percentage. They're right in the middle, so they do. But yeah, go ahead, Coach.
Rob, with the first pick next year, who do you pick? What are you looking for? What team can say that?
Yeah.
Who are we going to pick? Like, most teams are like, I need a quarterback.
Yeah.
It's
not super obvious. What I would do is I'd either try and get an edge rusher because BG's getting up there in age a little
I'd
bit.
get a center.
Or, well, they drafted Juergens last year.
All right.
That's the Kelsey replacement.
Yeah,
there.
I would go D tackle too, because you're deep. Think about it: Sue, Joseph, Fletcher.
Can I not even think about that?
Yeah, are we talking about the draft? Are we talking about the draft?
We're talking about so solid.
Yes.
All I want to do is enjoy.
I'm with you.
Right.
Smell
This
the roses, Joe.
incredible
Smell the
ride.
roses. man.
Rosen.
Yes.
I mean, this
Manager of the year.
incredible ride is only going to get better next week.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Exactly right.
If this team doesn't win the Super Bowl,
Oh God.
and I think this is one of the most solid Eagles teams I've ever seen across the board, that's going to be devastating.
Yes.
Right?
I'm not. Yes, you're right, but I'm not allowing myself to go
And
there.
I meant to say,
Can't
you've
go
been
there.
talking about this all year.
Yeah.
That Christmas Eve game
Yes.
is the biggest
It's gonna be
Eagles
like a-
game. And Dallas is peaking. So listen, he's like Nostradamus, this guy.
That
He's
game's
like,
going to be insane.
Like week 2, he's like, I'm worried about Christmas Eve. I'm worried about Christmas Eve. And now the Cowboys are peaking, getting their stride. That's going to be one hell of a game.
It's going to be a playoff game. That's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be 100% a playoff.
But do they beat it? They're going to. It's going to be a physical.
Oh, my God.
And they're a couple weeks from the playoffs.
Yep.
Man, that's going to be
Yeah, it is.
unbelievable.
That's going to be a throwdown.
Right.
All right, good stuff tonight on the Countdown to Kickoff show. Let's get our picks and predictions right now instead of taking a break and then coming back just to do a short segment. Picks, predictions. Rob, I'll start with you.
I'll go 31-17 Eagles. 31-17 Eagles.
Yeah, I was going to go 30 to 10. Eagles.
I love
30
it,
to 10.
Coach.
They stay on the ground.
30-10.
Listen, Nick Sirianni doesn't have to game plan. Just run all over
Just
them.
pound 'em. Just pound 'em.
into the submission.
Just pound them. That's it.
A miserable Sunday with
In the rain.
In the rain.
Double tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. That really, I don't think that hurts the Eagles at all. I don't.
I just want to say, I feel like that they need to. They run Hurts too much. I just think I'm starting to see him get hit.
Yeah.
Now we're getting to the end of the season. Every time he's getting hit, I'm like I'm sure
Yeah.
the whole Eagle Nation is like,
Yeah.
taking a deep breath.
Heavy
Like,
Sanders.
You don't have to.
Yeah, get Gainwell and Scott involved. You'll be all right. They'll be okay.
All right,
They'll
good
be okay.
stuff tonight here on the Countdown to Kickoff show. Listen, before we sign off tonight here on the Countdown to Kickoff show a programming alert or programming message out to everybody who is at Screwballs tonight. 1 week from tonight, so next Thursday,
the 15th.
What is it? What date is it?
The 15th.
Next Thursday, the 15th?
Yes.
It is?
Yes.
Okay, so next Thursday on the 15th, Krausey's coats will be here, and I will be collecting coats for those in need, so any slightly worn, used coats for men, for women, and for kids. Please bring them out next week, right to Screwballs. It's my 18th year of collecting coats. We did an event last week, and I was telling you this, Rob, in the pre-show. We did an event where we normally will collect somewhere between, call it 6,500 and 8,000 coats.
Wow.
And this year we only collected 4,200.
Okay.
So the need is greater this year than what we've been able to collect so far.
Gotcha.
So next Thursday night, Barrett Brooks will be here.
Yes.
And everybody here from Screwballs come out next week. Find a coat in your closet.
Yep.
And I'll take it, and I will deliver that coat with dignity.
Okay.
All right, so that's all taking place next Thursday at Screwballs. And then on the following Thursday, on the 22nd, right, that is our Christmas holiday show.
Oh.
Okay.
Coach is Santa?
Yeah.
Well,
ho, ho, ho.
It will be a Santa Claus night because we'll roll out this year. We did it, I think, 2 years ago or 3 years ago. What's in the box? We set up a full table of prizes, and then our ticket winners, and we'll pull a few of them tonight.
All right.
We'll select from the table on the 22nd.
Okay.
Now,
is that like let's make a deal? You can swap.
now Henry, if you remember, the last time that we did that, somebody rolled out of here with, I think, a 62-inch flat screen.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so
I love it. It looks
all
great in my
kind
living
of good
room.
stuff.
Am I eligible? No.
You know, so it's really, really great. That is on the 22nd.
So you're giving a 62-inch TV out? Is that what
I
you're
didn't
saying?
say that,
All right.
but what I did say is I will pick the first four winners tonight, who will come back on the 22nd and participate. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that.
Love it.
We're going to organize our bus trip to New York on Sunday. And if you're watching on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel, don't forget to smash the like button and please subscribe as we roll on. That's going to do it tonight for the Countdown to Kickoff show. On behalf of Rob Ellis, on behalf of the coach, and on behalf of everybody at Screwballs,
Thanks,
I'm
everybody.
Joe Kraus. See you next time, everybody.
Thank you, guys.